Hi everybody. WJ, this is a movie I make for you as well because you wrote me this morning with a question why one fundamental tone can have like different lug pitches for both heads. I'm going to demonstrate it for you. So this drum is completely slack, both heads, and I am going to just tune it up. One thing, if you start from a completely slack head, you want to make sure your head is properly seated. And that means you want to have an even contact all around the bearing edge. And that way, while you're tuning it up or down, you will get more evened out lug pitches more easily. So what I do is I just apply some center pressure here, not too much, and I'm going to tune out the wrinkles. That is to give the head some starting tension while maintaining a proper seating all around the bearing edge. You can feel a bit to feel if the tension is a bit even all around. You don't have to press too hard, and you don't have to turn too much neither, but it's important you follow that cross pattern while you're doing this. That redistributes the tension over the head. Once it's tensioned, you can break that cross pattern to see which areas are still wrinkled. They may need some extra tensioning, and it's always good to have some light reflection bouncing off the head so you can actually better see those wrinkles. At this point, the drum will start singing. It's a very low tension, it's not good enough yet to play because you will dent the heads. Now I use 2 keys if you have that, it's very convenient. And I'll just give it another twitch. I'll do the same here. I'll twist the keys like whatever, 20 degrees or so. Harder turn, not too much. And now you start listening with awareness to the head. You know, what does it need? It's a horrible cardboard-like sound. Those heads are quite spent, so they are not as lively anymore as they were when they were new. And I feel like this head needs a bit more tension still. So I'm bringing it up slightly. While doing so, you also have to consider the rebound that you want. All right, and I'll bring that one to it. I'm just going to research a nice sound here. Pretty good. So if I want, I could clear the heads at this spot. So let's see where we're at. I'm gonna use basic tuner tom. It's almost an A. And it has a hard time picking up the lug pitches because the fundamental tone is so much resonant. I think here when it picked up 176 might be the tension of this head, or it might be the tension of the reso head, but it's the tension of this head. So we could clear it here. I press lock target. Let's tune everything to match that lug pitch here. So I'm not gonna sweat it, right? If it's like within half a hertz precise or even within 1.5 hertz precise, it will be quite good. And it's not that bad, as bad as it feels here. So we're almost there, and that's because we started already from that better seated head by using that wrinkle tuning method, or wrinkle tensioning method, it's more at that point. Now we're really tuning the drum. So, as you can see, it sings. There are no annoying overtones here, and for me at this point, it's good enough. I can tune that wobble out a bit, but let's first, before we're gonna fine tune this head, focus on the resonant head. I release the lock target again. Also here, that fundamental tone is the same, but the lug pitches here will be much different, 186. So this is actually almost tuned to equal tension, apparently. Let's do that. Let's clear the head here. And let's then start exploring, just for the sake of the video, what kind of sounds we can discover around this current tuning. I'll change the sensitivity a bit. All right. Still fine tuning. But you can hear this drum really sings, so that's not bad. Found a nice sound. Now, what happens if I tune up, let's say, the resonant head? It's quite cleared, so I'm gonna use 2 keys. Just tune it up evenly, not too much, but I try to remain at the same amount of incremental tension here at all of the lugs. As a result now, the fundamental tone would have been rising. As you can see, it did. Let's do it a bit more. I don't like this sound as much, but it's much shorter as well. But it's a different fundamental tone. So now, in response to that, we're going to tune down the batter head again. And that will bring us back to that fundamental tone of 108, but with different tunings of both heads. And that also means that the lug pitches, the interval between the lug pitches of the heads and the fundamental tone of the drum will be different, together with the interval between the heads. That's all linked. So I'm gonna bring this head down a bit in pitch. I can still do that. You can tune your drum within the tensioning ranges of the heads, right? So you can tune the heads until they are choked out or slacked out. And any combination between both sides within their choked out, slacked out range will give you some kind of tone. Some tone would sound really horrible, some would have a really great decay and dynamics and so on. So that's what tuning is about. You check different combinations of head tunings and see what is the effect on your sound. Getting back, it sounds more balanced again. So just before, that 115 sounded quite bad, but like when I'm tuning the heads differently now, I get with the same resonant head lug pitch, I'm getting like again a warmer sounding fundamental tone here. Now what changed? Let's check the lug pitches. They are 157. So they are more towards a perfect fifth now, which is always a very consonant and harmonic interval. What we'll have here is this interval now is more consonant, and if that's a perfect fifth for this size of drum, usually that is going to be an octave. So I think this is going to be around 216-ish, minus plus min like 5 to 10 hertz. Let's check. 219, you see. So why does this sound nicely at the moment? Because how the pitches relate. This is almost an octave higher than a fundamental tone. It's a double an octave, it's double the frequency. And this is a perfect fifth higher. And those situations, you'll discover them by ear, but there's like a mathematical reason why more or less around those proportions a drum would sound good. And that has to do with the intervals between the frequencies. So the proportions, how do they relate to one another? I can tune a bit lower still. And then in response to that, I can tune the resonant head up even more. And that will change the dynamics of the drum, and also the timbre and the color and so on. But we'll still stay around that fundamental tone of 108 Hertz, 106. So let me tune up the resonant head even more. So I'm just tuning the heads further apart. And what that'll do is that you'll get like a different decay, also a different attack color, because the better head now is going to become more and more slacked out. So still good, but you can feel it's less bright and the overtone timbre gets darker. Why is that? Because the tonal distance between those two pitches, they always come closer and closer to one another. So that gives a darker timbre. The further you space them apart, the brighter that timbre becomes, because that tone will be more and more contrasted towards a fundamental tone. It has a lot of effects. It sounds duller somehow, but the attack is slightly less accentuated. The attack color for sure is brighter. It's a warmer, more mellow sound. Your articulation goes down. The rebound speed of the head really reduces a lot. So for fast playing, this might not be as good. It's going to be sensitive, more and more sensitive to denting, because it can't disperse the energy you put into it. But it's a parameter you control, but you control them linked with all the other things. So you can't isolatedly influence rebound speed without changing, the pitch of the head, for example. On the other hand, still the same fundamental tone. You can see that, but listen to how different we perceive the attack. It's also a slightly thinner head, so its spectral timbre is also different to start with, but just because of the way it is tuned, now we've put all the timbre becomes like that higher pitch. Listen to that interval distance towards that's a much higher tone. So that is colors the timbre a lot. What you can do here is you have more contrasted distances here that will be audible if you would play like rim shots or rim clicks. That will affect your sound a lot. So for more jazzy playing, where you would like to really, like use all those different intonation possibilities of your drum, you might want to play a lot with the overtones and where you hit. And in that case, for jazz tunings, it's often very common to have quite a highly tensioned drum to start with, to get the head speak more in those ranges. Plus, often the better head, for example, is going to be tuned higher than the resonant head. While for many rock, metal tunings, it's inversely, because you want that dark sound. Now for speedy metal playing, if your toms are too slack, you'll lose some of the rebound, and in that case it's better to get a bigger size drum and tension it a bit higher, so you have the same tone out of it, but with a more tensioned head, so you'll still have deep sounds, but with more tension on the heads, so your rebound gets faster. So this is just a demonstration of tuning a drum differently around the same note by varying different tensions. Whenever you found some tension you like, you can always create a tuning preset for that. Let me show you. So, okay, this is a drum, and then here for the fundamental tone of A, for example, you see at maximum sustain, it suggests those values for the lug pitches. Now those bring you close, those are estimates. If you really want, you can replace them, and that's what I actually would advise you to do with your own lug pitches. So once you found the right tuning that you really like, you can just replace the estimates with your own values. And that way you store your personal tuning way into a preset that you can always use later on. At the moment, this is this is prototype of the next version of the app, coming maybe next week or so. But yeah, that's the general idea. And we've just been using basic tuner at the moment, so you can make a tuning preset and use basic tuner to tune to those values if you're still in the free trial mode. And I know you're not, so you can also use preset tuner for that. All right.